I'm Hannah.
Hi, I'm Kai, and this is Loki.
Hi, I'm Summer.
And this is our second episode for the Jeddah Saudi Arabia Grand Prix in 2025.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh my god, that
So
cat is
I did
so cute.
take some notes this time and I tried to organize them. I put like on first social media because the first thing I saw this weekend was Alex forgetting slash losing his phone. Oh, nice. It's popping up. Thumbs up.
Wait, what?
Great. And then second, Ollie admitting to more crimes, like he was trying to clear the stuff with
Yeah.
Kimmy, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, but we did this and then." I was like, "Can someone get them into PR training for this reason?" Like,
No.
guys, come on.
Yeah, Alex left what his phone was left at the press conference,
Yeah,
and then Max, Alonso, and Isaac stole the
yeah,
phone and took photos with it.
Is that what
but
he
like,
was posting? Like, people were
yeah,
posting, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
why are you, of all people, posting this person? I was so confused.
Yes.
but like, is it stealing when Alex is forgetting his phone and they're just
Right?
taking pictures with it and they're giving it back?
They were just spicing up the storyline.
Yeah,
They were just
I
keeping
think
it
so.
safe, you know?
Yeah, safekeeping, not stealing.
They're just making sure the camera still works.
That there's no damage. Yeah, so that was like social media things.
Oh yeah,
I
but
think
Ollie admitting to committing more crimes.
that is,
Did you hear
and
about
then,
that, Summer?
Was it the credit card thing?
So
no, that was Kimmy's, right?
I saw
yeah,
that last
Kimi
weekend.
admitted to credit card fraud. And then Ollie went on the Fast and the Curious podcast and they asked him, like, oh, what did you buy? And Ollie goes, well, I can't say that, but I can tell you that wasn't the only time something went missing from my trainer's wallet. And then went on to tell us that that at one point Ollie's trainer's ID badge went
Yeah,
missing, and so he couldn't leave the paddock until he found it.
it's
Yeah.
like
They're Nelly,
like,
man. They are a
yeah.
crazy duo.
But like if
Ollie's
you're looking back, they were like maybe 16 or something when they did that, 16, 17, because Kimmy is now 18. So you could still put it under like childish pranks or whatever.
Oh
but
yeah,
still,
Ollie just
it's
said
like,
they were bored.
yeah, definitely.
That
Like,
is-
give us something to play with. Okay, you don't give us anything, we will make a game out of it.
that I know that man has like a padlock on his wallet now.
He is no longer Ollie's trainer.
No,
I
but
wonder
he's,
why.
Not
he's
for that.
Gabby's, but he's Gabby's now, so he's still in the same paddock. So
Oh
I think
no!
I just imagine him like walking past like the house one and just like getting the chills and running straight.
He's
Just hand on his
no, he's not getting me.
feeling his wallet.
Yeah, like okay, keep it
It's
secure.
that TikTok, that girl on TikTok that like finds the pickpockets in Barcelona. Pickpockets, pickpockets.
He's just trying to be safe.
I'm dead. That's crazy. That is
Yeah.
actually crazy.
Yeah, so that was happening before we actually got into the cars. So
Mhm.
very funny start, I think.
More exciting than practice.
Whoa, I'm
Yeah,
so
practice.
tired.
So FP1, I just watched the highlights and I just like remember that Carlos had a quick moment with the Ferraris, that he was led by at a part where it wasn't that
Yeah.
secure, and I was like, nothing happened. So
And Liam cut the white line at the pit exit twice and got that warning and then a reprimand for it.
oh yeah, right, yeah, but
Basically, warnings are like just slap on the wrist, like move on. Reprimands, if you get 4 reprimands in a season, I think, or within a certain amount of time, you get a race penalty for it.
And there's a difference between a warning and a formal warning, because I watched back some documents, and in some it says driver received a formal warning, and in some other it was driver received a warning, and I was like, is it just the writing, or is it
I
different?
feel that might just be wording, because on the Liam ones it does say warning, and then it says formal reprimand.
Okay, yeah.
On the second
What
one.
does I was looking through the documents and was like, is there a difference or not? But then we would just leave it at that. Maybe we'll later.
For free practice 2.
Yeah, that was a bit more exciting.
Bortoleto had that fuel leak, so they had to like completely strip the car to change the survival cell out of that. Which anytime I see a car just like completely gutted sitting like up on a razor, I was like, I don't know if cars should look like that. That seems weird.
Like, why do
Please
you look
fix it.
naked? Like,
yeah, like, why are you naked?
Can you please censor it? That's not a children-approved TV here right now.
This is a family show, as Harry Styles said.
So
we had Gabby. We had a bit of chaos in the pit lane because I think it was Hulkenberg and Alex that nearly crashed like into the pit wall when they were driving out. I think they just like misjudged the angle, like what to get out. And Ollie wasn't that happy because one of them blocked him. Oscar, sorry. Oscar wasn't that happy because one of them blocked them or him to get like further down, and then they had to like push back the car. It was a bit like, oh, they're trying to learn driving right now.
Just pure chaos.
Yeah, just a bit of chaos.
Is that when they went to Kimi's garage and he was like angled in the garage so that he can like get a smoother exit out?
Yeah, I think it was like the same time situation. But yeah, I think I saw it like 2 or 3 times after that. That not that they have to stop, but that was where you thought like, oh, the pit wall is very close, and then they just made it. But yeah, it seems so easy in Jeddah to get out. If like Nico and Alex has a problem because they are both experienced drivers. Yeah, so that was even before like actual practice 2 started. And then during practice wasn't also that entertaining. Alex had a moment with the Ferraris, and I just found it funny because like both Williams had an issue like with the Ferraris, was just like heating in a different form.
Yeah, that one was with Lewis, and it was investigated afterwards, and then for like impeding, but there was no further action because.
Yeah, I think honestly in practice something like impeding, it's practice, right? It's there to practice, to train, to do that stuff. And yeah, you shouldn't do it. You should get out of the way and all of that. But if it happens, it happens. And if no one is getting hurt or crashing or cars damaged, just say sorry and move on. You know, it's not that deep, like in quali or in a race. That would be a bit of another story. And then towards the end, little Yuki took the wall a bit too tight and ping pong between the track.
Yuki's like
and crashed out.
I love him so much.
Yeah, it was just because he took the corner and you could like see how he just misjudged just by like a centimeter or whatever, and then he like crashed against it and crashed into another wall, and it's always looking so much worse if you're like ping-ponging on the track.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, is he okay? And then it was immediately, he's okay.
I was like cleaning up my room when I had it on, and all of a sudden I just hear and I was like, huh?
What is happening? like the last 10 minutes or something, you're like, oh yeah, okay, nothing is gonna happen, and then Yuki crashed out and you're like, oh shit. But he got out, the car was more or less fine. They could fix it, so. But I think it was a bit crazy because the time was ticking down because it was just practice. And it was 1 minute 30, and like all the engineers and like standing with their hands up, like stop. I was like, I'm going out again. It's like 1 minute left. And they all got out again. I was like, why? That's
they want to do their practice starts.
Yeah.
So they have to be on track, and then they come back around into a grid box to do a practice starts.
So basically, because they do the practice start after every practice season, right? Or session. So basically, the practice session is 60 minutes plus like at least 1 lap, because everyone is doing the start and doing 1 lap more.
I think
just like figured
after
that out.
once they do the practice starts though, they can't go like full out. They have to like have a certain speed delta or something.
That would make sense, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't think anything actually happened in Free Practice 3.
I just wrote down creative ways of drivers to get out of the way, because Lewis and Alex both. So normally you just get out of the racing line, out of the way, and Lewis I think like cut completely like a corner or whatever to get out of the way for Max, and Max was also saying something on the radio. I'm not sure if that was related, but the commentator said like, oh yeah, Lewis is just trying to get out of the way, and I was like, why is he like just not going from the racing line? He was like on the other side. Alex had the same issue. I'm not sure who was like passing, but like off the racing line, I think was Alonso. So he couldn't go there because then he would crash into him.
Right.
Yeah.
So he like went to the wall and then had to like brake as well because he would get back onto track. So I was just a bit like, okay, everything is fine. But yeah, that was like the highlights of FP3 for me. But I was watching with my parents, and my mom was the whole time like, it's so boring. There's nothing happening. I'm like, you just don't understand.
That's how I felt
fun. I can
during
see
the
it.
Japanese Grand Prix. I was like, what? This is boring. Like,
Yeah.
what are we supposed to be watching here?
No, I was sleeping
going in circles.
Sleeping through FP3. I woke up just in time to watch the F2 sprint race.
Yeah.
I forgot to take fully notes. I was half awake. Because I had a really interesting dream that night.
Do tell.
Oh, it's so vivid. No, I'm not kidding. You will think I'm making this up, but I am not. I told my friend I had to go to my friend's house to watch qualifying. I told my friend as soon as I walked in that door, I'm like, you will not believe me, but the dream I had last night was so vivid of an orange car peeling off with mechanical failure. And I just like vividly remember orange car going like along a wall, like the engine dying. And then she's like, okay, sure. And then cue qualifying, and then that happens, and I looked at her, I'm like, I need more dreams like this.
You're
like
my prophet.
She's predicting now.
That's actually crazy. I had no dreams like that.
Like, okay, let me get back to sleep. I would try to
I know.
dream something up.
I made that joke this morning when they came over. I'm like, guys, I'm sorry, I didn't have a dream last night. Let me real quick try to take a nap.
Like, try to figure out what you did before you fell asleep and just do it every time.
That's your ritual now. Your nightly ritual.
I did the same thing last night, though. I read fan fiction and then I went to bed. And it's the same fanfic I was reading the night before.
Yeah, you have to read the same chapter now every time. Yeah, so practice was not that exciting, and quali wasn't exciting as well. I just have like, there was a trash bag for a second, and then it flew off. And then
You ever feel like a plastic bag drifting on an F1 track?
And the tire warmer that was like still stuck into Pierre's car, like the zip
the
thing,
bag.
they pulled it
That
out,
was crazy.
and that was like on his wheel, and then rip it off. It was good that they like figured it out so quickly, but
I had some notes that they were doing like 2 laps on the same tire. Like even like the top teams were getting like 2 qualifying laps out of the same tire, and then at the end, like in Q3, a bunch of the teams went out on the like used tires for their first run in Q3. Which I guess was the better option, because then they just got a free
yeah.
None of them got a lap done, really. Some of them did, but
Yeah, Oscar crossed the line, and that was like the only lap that counted. Every other lap was like deleted.
Stopped, yeah.
Obviously, because Lando made friends with the wall.
Lando was in that wall. Like that.
Yeah.
It was what? It was at turn 5 is what I have. It was very kind of similar to what happened to almost to Yuki. He just lost the rear end coming over a curb and like swung out into a wall.
I had it written down just a stat that the commentators made that I just thought was so funny because it's a stat that you really don't want. It says Stroll is the most eliminated Q1 driver in history, and I just wrote after that, damn. Like that's so.
That's such a cruel stat. Jeez.
And then earlier,
Yeah,
like during the race today, when Oscar was like, "Can he just get out of the way?" on his radio, and then the commentator's like, "Oh, there's Lance Stroll," and I'm like, "Yep, that checks out."
Yeah.
if the shoe fits, so how is the saying going?
Mm-hmm.
The shoe does
Yeah.
fit every time.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'm like a bit torn between it because in the end he is a good driver. Like he's not the best driver, but he can drive this car. To be
Yeah.
honest, like
Mhm.
you can't get in the car and say so. He did the work and everything. I think he's kind of unlucky because his dad is giving him more money than everyone else is like getting because every driver is there with some money in the background, which is their own. But yeah, it doesn't help if he's
Not
doing
getting out of Q1.
stupid stuff. Yeah, like no that or getting stuck in gravel or whatever. I think it was during practice or during
That
the
was
quali.
the formation lap in Brazil.
That
Yeah, that's
oh my god,
that's even more
Brazil.
stupid.
Oh.
But then in Jeddah, I think he also like spun out somewhere, and my immediate thought was like, at least there's an incredible trap where he can get trapped in, like he can get the car back. That was like the first thought. So I'm like, he's like kind of like poor guy, but on the other hand, it's a bit like it's giving like Latifi. Mick also like heartbreaking. I have to say that, but he wasn't also not the best driver. Also like was also crashing out a lot. So it's just like it's fitting in there, and he's just because his dad is owning the team.
Yeah.
He gets another chance. Otherwise, I think like last season or this season would be one of his last with it, and they would get new or other drivers.
Yeah.
Back for qualifying though, there was interesting strategy happening after Lando crashed, because there was technically enough time, barely, to get 2 qualifying laps in, but most teams just stayed in the garage to do that 1 lap shootout like at the end. Which as a team, I guess it makes more sense to just wait until that 1 lap because it worked for Max, putting slightly more fuel in the car and going out and coming back to the pits for new tires. But if every team did that, I feel like someone would have gotten caught out with trying to get into the pits like on time and stuff. So from like a team perspective, it makes sense to be like, okay, we'll just wait and treat this like a normal qualifying, as if you set your first lap. We'll do the last lap like right at the end.
Yeah, but like at the same time, it's like you want to get out there. Like you want to, if your first lap wasn't great, but it was still enough, like make it perfect. Like there's still like, I didn't understand it. Like I was like, y'all need to get out there. Like what am I watching?
Well, none of them except for Oscar had set a lap in the previous one.
Which
also,
Oscar,
some teams
his teeth, by the way, getting through that was crazy. Literally, like at the perfect time, crossed that line.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if the other teams all had new like 2 sets of new tires, so that could have been why they weren't doing 2 laps.
True.
And also, again, you don't want to be the driver who gets like caught out by having to go to the pits and not being able to even set that second lap. So save your tires and just wait until you would normally go out to do it. Unless you're Max. Unless you're Max, and then you just... Very true. Then we have... I don't think much really happened after qualifying.
I did love the how the commentators like compared Max's car and like the sparks, and I think it was Q2. They were like calling him Marty McFly and like the Back to the Future references. I was like, period. I loved that, and I also in Q1 I do want to talk about Pierre Gasly because the commentators used the word perfection. Coming around the corner at that final corner and not like it literally looked like he was in the
like the millimeter away from the wall.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. That was like the perfect turn that he could have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was like, my jaw, I looked up like while I was watching the replay and my jaw like dropped. I was like, that is beautiful.
Mhm.
I also
See, I love a good street circuit just for that reason, like
Yeah.
the precision it takes. And can I just say, going back to what I said in our first episode towards the end there, where I was like, I have a feeling I know which driver's gonna do well, out of the McLaren drivers, and I was correct.
you
Oscar
were
did better.
he
Um,
he ate. He ate.
I had a feeling Oscar was gonna do better, just because Lando, especially in qualifying, is somewhat prone to make small errors. Like with this car, it's not really upsetting too much, but
Mm,
at a street circuit, that tiny error can send you into a wall,
Yeah.
which it
Yeah.
did. So I'm gonna take that.
Again,
Take that win.
prophesied by Kai.
Yes. That one is just looking at way too much racing data and qualifying
Well,
times.
also,
Too much
as a
stats.
Lando fan, we all admit, like, that man, he's admitted it too, gets way too in his head about stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason, again, I hate to say it because I am a fan, but there's a reason that he's not a world champion yet. And that's because of his mind, like, his own mind is his own worst enemy, which sucks. But, like, Max is over here. I don't like Max on track because he's, in my opinion, a little too aggressive. He can get a little too.
I think you just need to learn to race him. That's
Yeah.
because like him and Charles, they crashed what? Maybe once?
Yeah. Like, I am stupid.
That was not because of Max.
I know.
I will admit that.
I know. Yeah, like, I think
himself.
Max is a great guy, and I think he is, like, the best on the grid right now. Like, he is the best. And
Yeah.
Because he does not give a fuck when he's on that track. He's like, oh, there's someone in my way. Let me just, like, you're gone. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in front now. Bye. Like, he doesn't care.
I think you could see that, especially with Lando last year, he was getting pole, but then just bottling pole every time.
Yeah.
And after the first few times it happened, I think it just got into his head, and then he just continued to. Versus, like, a different driver who might have, like, one or two bad starts, and then she's like, okay, I'm, like, moving on. Like Charles. He gets pole a lot, and does not keep it a lot, for a multitude of reasons, right?
Yeah.
And he knows the reasons. He goes, oh, well, yeah, of course. Max was in the Red Bull of 2023. That car had rocket fuel in it. And you just let it brush off of you, being like, yeah, what was I supposed to
like,
do
water
with,
off
like,
the
that
wings.
car?
Like, that's why you need attention.
Yeah. And
Charles is
hopefully
really good about that. He really is.
Yes, and I wish people would listen to that in interviews sometimes. But I'll get to that at the end because there's some stuff with Ferrari that are annoying me. But the race starts. Max and Oscar go pretty much wheel to wheel into turn 4?
That was turn, like, I thought it was like
That
2?
was turn 1.
It was 1.
No, because 1 goes 1, 2.
It was whichever one had, like, that big corner that people were driving off on, which I immediately have written in all caps, Yuki, no!
Yeah. I think because turn 1 is a left straight into a right, so that's like 1, 2.
You're right.
But Max got later the what was it?
No, it was it was turn 1. I'm
Was
like,
it? Whatever, that first, like, chicane.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
We'll say that, yeah.
The first chicane.
The first chicane.
They're, like, pretty much wheel to wheel.
Neck and
like,
neck.
even watching the onboards, I'm like, no one was truly ahead there.
It was just, like, centimeters. And honestly, the drivers can't see that from the car when you, like, watch the onboards. You couldn't say, like, from our perspective, out of the car, you could say, like, oh no, there and everything.
Yeah.
But in the car, I can totally understand that both were like, I'm in front, or at least, like, on the same.
Yeah, both of them, like, obviously from their perspective, are like, I'm in the right. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong.
And personally, that's just a turn one racing incident to me.
Yeah.
Like, they were both, like, Oscar barely made that apex. Like, he barely made it, which
it was so close.
Which if Oscar's barely making it, what do you expect Max to do on that, like, line? Like, there's nowhere for him to go.
How narrow it is, like, especially with the walls there too, like, there's nothing you can do.
And then the 5-second penalty, I feel what, like, yeah, okay, you gave him the investigation, he, like, cut the chicane and should have given the place back, but they never gave him a chance to give the place back. They never even, like,
communicated, oh, they might, like, give this to you. Like, there was no communication about that to anyone.
Like, well, because it went from,
like, even, like, I feel like that wasn't even in their
that happened, and then Yuki and Pierre crashed, and then it was noted, and safety car came out. So, like, by the time the safety car comes out, it was still under investigation. And so they can't, like, Max can't give up a place during a safety car. And then when the safety car came in, it was basically immediately, oh, you have a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, there wasn't...
When was anyone given a chance to, like, do anything about that?
Yeah, there wasn't... They were messed up with that one.
Yeah, the only thing later on in the race, we had the small moment with Gabby and Fernando, where Fernando also cut completely a corner, and he immediately, like, backed out, gave the place back, and started racing again. So, in this opinion, because Max cut the chicane, I can understand because he thought he was in front, so that he has, like, rightfully the first place. So it's a bit like, what was, like, his, like, side on it? Did he think he was P1? Then he's the right, but he could have, like, had the chance to just back out, let Oscar in front. But if he thinks he was in front, because it was not visible for the drivers, and it was, I think, like, half a lap yellow, and then immediately safety car. So
well, normally, like, when that happened in Coda, when Lando cut in front and didn't give the place back.
I don't want to talk about it. I'm still so mad about that.
It was given, noted, and then investigation, and then Lando was told that you need to give the place, like, then it was, okay, he needs to give the place back.
Yeah.
And if he, within, like, this amount of time, and if he doesn't, then it's 5-second penalty.
Yeah.
So he was, like, warned. Max wasn't warned. Like, no one was warned or told.
True.
The one with Alonso was a bit more very clear cut. He kind of locked up and went across and immediately was like, yeah, that's my fault. Versus something that's being investigated. Yeah. Both drivers are not going to want to give up that position. And then you just go, oh, 5 seconds.
Yeah.
When did Max could have given that up and then possibly been able to retake the lead and fight for it, but
I think that's why he was so pissed at the end. When he was just like who was the person that was interviewing at the end, post-race?
It was David Coulthard. We'll get to the interviews at the end.
Yeah.
I have
many
tea
things
on that.
to say about those, so let's move on. Wait, I do
so that was the first...
Isn't this the race that they want to have, like, starting next year? The 20-story tall...
The Rainbow Road?
Like, first
of all... they want to start building that next year.
I thought about that. But also, if this happened this year at, like, turn 1, someone's gonna go flying off. Red Bull really will give you wings. Like, that's...
I know, right?
Bro. It's gonna be so bad.
Yeah, we'll see if Rainbow Road Saudi Arabia ever comes to fruition.
I hope not, because that's stressing me out. It's not even a thing yet.
Yeah, I think just on the decision of the penalty, because I think last race also with the, not penalty, but with the digital lap time for Nico in quali, I think they should get especially this stuff a bit quicker, because there was the safety car, so they had the option to just say, oh, within the safety car, Max, go back the position or whatever the decision is, and then everything would be fine. But it was like safety cars ending, oh, now here's the decision, where I'm thinking,
right?
Like, you're sitting in the same room with all the people, like, talk to each other maybe, and then honestly, if it's like, no, we need like another, like, half a minute or whatever, then let the safety car be another lap, like, you know, just to, like, benefit in this kind of way all the drivers, because they are bunched up in the end. So it's just a bit like this season. Yeah, I just have the feeling this season they're a bit slow with the decisions, even though it's not like super slow, but like you could have like made it a bit better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's the actual like what it says for Max.
Yeah.
They were alongside at the apex based on the driver's standard. Wait, so car 81 had its front axle at least alongside the mirror of car 1 prior to and at the apex of corner 1 when trying to overtake on the inside. In fact, car 81 was alongside car 1 at the apex. It was therefore car 81's corner and he was entitled to be given room. Car 1 then left the track and gained a lasting advantage that was not given back. When was he going to give it back? He stayed in front of car 81 and sought to build on the advantage. Ordinarily, the baseline penalty for the track would be 10 seconds. However, given this was a lap 1 and turn 1 incident, we considered a mitigating circumstance and did a 5-second penalty instead. So are they saying because Max like didn't immediately slow down to give up the place that's why he got the penalty?
Yeah, that is, I think, like kind of what I mentioned, like with Alonso, because he immediately gave it back. But on the other hand, if Max thought he was in front because he couldn't see it any other, because it looks like this, because we saw both onboards on TV, they like broadcasted it. So I can understand, especially as a world champion.
I can see why Christian Horner has those pages printed out.
Like, no, you were in position
Christian Horner. Okay.
Yeah,
but no,
but I can understand you would rather
in that Kai, did it say like on that sheet why he wasn't given the 10-second? Because it did say ordinarily it would be a 10-second. I just missed that.
It was, we considered that to be however, given that this was a lap 1 and turn 1 incident, it was considered a mitigating circumstance.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So because of how squished and tight the cars are, it's considered like less of a thing because this is like the start of the race versus like Alonso would have probably gotten a 10-second if he didn't give it back because he had a lot more like time basically and room to like not cut the chicane.
Yeah, definitely.
Then nothing really happened for a while.
Except
until pit stop started.
Spicy. That man has been spicy over the radio this season, and I am here for it. Was it Japan where he's like, I'm better than everyone else, shut up, let me rate.
Alex is just getting confident in the car again. Because, like, I know there are a lot of fans of Logan, and obviously I'm a fan of Carlos, but he is giving the team so much input. He is taking the team farther, and they said it, not directly, but they said it on their podcast Team Talk, or whatever it's pronounced. Alex said, like, no, it's good to have, like, another view, a new view, and everyone knows that Carlos is, like, also, he understands the car to a certain bit, and he has experience. And Logan can't have that because he is so young, and it was just, like, 2 seasons. So, I think it's also giving Alex confidence back to, like, believe in himself again, believe in the car again, believe in the team again. Even though you're doing that all the time, but it's different as someone is coming in, like the fresh energy and everything.
Carlos is definitely the best choice for that team.
Yeah, and I think it's like the same in Ferrari, just in a different way. You have like a 7-time world champion in there. Obviously, you will get some new energy in there.
Your face, Kai.
Like we're not seeing it at the moment right now, but on the long run. On the long run, hopefully, there will be something.
Hopefully.
There's background circumstance stuff happening with Ferrari that's stupid. It's not even that we know anything's happening. It's the, like, well, this is what I think's happening. I'm like, do you work for Ferrari? No, I don't care.
Yeah, no, I had so I was at the bar a couple nights ago with my friends, and one of the bartenders, he's a big Ferrari fan, so we started talking about, like, Formula 1, and I was like, I'm a McLaren fan. He asked me who my favorite of the two was, and I said Lando, and he comes at me sideways, like, oh, like, but Oscar's so much better, like, Oscar deserved this year, Lando doesn't, and I was so tempted to be like, I'm sorry, do you work for the team? Are you in the car?
Yeah.
So, like, I get, like,
just
when people, like, come at you sideways, Kai, for, like, the Ferrari stuff, I'm like, do you work for them? Are you in the pit? Are you on the pit wall with the Ferrari engineers? Thank you. Come again. Good
Who's
luck.
this person though? Because I think we'd get along.
Yeah.
Same thought process.
Back. No, my friends that I was with, actually, they know him, like, outside of the bar. They've been friends with him for a very long time. And when I, like, my best friend Hannah, when I, like, let her know that, like, I was a Formula 1 fan, she immediately texted this guy, Mac, and was like, I found your wife.
Can't work. Lando McLaren fan, Ferrari fan, can't work.
It's like a Scorpio man and an Aries woman. Like, it doesn't work out. The zodiac signs are not matching.
there's too much.
Yeah, the pit stops started at lap like 18, 19. Ollie was the first. Well, there was like 3 of them who pit under that first safety car.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
Ollie
Jack
was the first one to the
a
pits.
little early.
Yeah, that was. I don't understand what was happening.
Very confused why they pitted during the safety car.
Because I'm not sure. Did they start on mediums? Because it was Jack,
I
Ocon,
think they started on medium and then went to hards.
Yeah, and then they went like 35 laps or whatever. So I understand that.
Gotcha.
Because I thought maybe they tried to go like the whole race with it, but then I thought like on this circuit, even with the hard ones, 49 laps, that's
asking a lot.
That's optimistic.
Yeah, that's taking a big risk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
we have it written, terrible pit stop for Oscar, 3.4, and then like the next 2 were like 2.2, 2.1. I'm like, what is going on in the McLaren pit? What is happening?
Ferrari is currently leading the pit stop championship. Yeah. We had the 2 fastest times. I know someone posted it. Where is it? Oh god. I'm scrolling through so much. Who did? Okay, Ferrari had basically a 2.0 and a 2.1 second pit stop, and the next one was Mercedes at a 2.3.
Yeah.
McLaren was just not there with the pit stop.
No.
2.6 average?
Yeah, the
2.6.
I think
2.6 was their fastest one.
That was for Lando, because why?
Yeah.
I was sitting there when Oscar pulled in, and it was like, he was just sitting there, and it didn't look like anyone was doing anything. I'm like, I don't know anything about being in the pit lane. I don't know anything about being a mechanic, but I think I can do better than this. I finished that Lego set really fast. Like, I could give you a good pit stop. Bless you, guys.
Normally when you're at the circuits, you can do like the tire change challenge or whatever. we should go to the circuit and replicate.
They're gonna hire us.
Yeah, definitely.
I did love the battle between Lewis and Lando. Like how it just kept going back and forth. I was like, this is fun.
Yes. DRS chicken is my favorite thing at this track. I can explain.
Wait, I will just put my thought. I was so confused because like they overtook on the straight and then they did it the same time again. I was like, are they repeating like the broadcast of the lap? Is it the same they did?
Copy paste.
No, it's because Lando tried doing the same overtake every time.
Yeah.
And then he was told to do strat 8 or whatever that means, and finally did a different type of overtake. No, what basically DRS chicken is, at Jeddah, they've changed it this year. Previously it was at a different spot, but into that final corner, the DRS detection zone is now at the end of that corner. So whatever car is behind second crossing that line will get DRS going into the main straight. And so basically, Lando would overtake Lewis going into that corner, but then Lewis would be second, get DRS, and then just go in front.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
every time.
Strategy.
They changed the detection point. It used to be at the beginning of that turn. Because in 2022, Max and Charles were playing DRS chicken with each other and were slamming the brakes to try to be the second person across that line. Literally, Max's tire, you can watch one of the times, you can see the smoke coming out of the tires because they're like almost locking up to be second across that line.
I think I need to watch then 2022.
Oh, it was so fun. It's basically them just doing that the entire like last few laps of that race is just them going back and forth doing that.
Yeah, sometimes it's
Yeah.
it's nice to have like a little game during the race as well. It's not so boring for them.
Yeah.
Truly, after that race too, Max won, but Charles even on like Max was on his radio going, "Oh, that was such a fun race. Good job, team." And then on Charles's radio, like he got second, so normally he'd be very disappointed, but he was just like, "Wow, Max did such a good job. That was great today."
What was the race last season that Max was like, if I had known this was so boring, I would have brought a pillow with me?
Monaco.
That was Monaco. That was
Always.
yeah. We will get into that during Monaco, I think.
But yeah, then
What was
everyone
Oscar
kind
on
of
that
pit.
podium?
Huh?
Was
It was
Oscar
Charles,
P2?
Oscar, and then Carlos.
Yes.
But then the rest of the pits, I was sitting there, Charles's onboard on going like, is he gonna pit? Are we just not gonna pit today? That's fine by me. And then I was like watching the lap times, I was like, oh no, he's just whispering to those tires. He's just like
Tires
silently telling them.
Like the tires can't degrade if you're not
Without your
whatever meme. This will pop up again. I love that this meme will be like every driver if they're like managing their tires during a race well. So in the end we will have like
It's
every driver.
the tires legally cannot degrade without your consent.
That's
So Charles went long on those mediums, and then so that was lap 29 into 30, and then Lando went until lap like 35 on the hard tires, and then pit for the mediums. Which in the end worked really well for Charles because he got like the freshest like hard tires, and then he just zoomed. He just every time I look at his lap times, I'm like, he's just really driving his own race. He's just zooming.
I made a note about the overtake that Charles made, overtaking George. It was so pretty. That was so pretty.
Oh, if we're talking about overtakes, the Oscar around Lewis on the outside, insane.
Oh my god, poetry!
It was
poetry on track.
Yeah, when I saw that there's a video, I think it's NASCAR with like an oval where like the driver is like up to the wall where he says like, I will push the pedal down and either I see God or the finish line. And I just like had that in my head and seeing Oscar, I'm like, please don't crash, please make it.
I say that all the time. I'm gonna push the pedal until I see the checkered flag or God. And it's like a really southern dude too. I'm like, USA.
Fun fact about that, they made it illegal now in NASCAR to ride the rail like that. You can't do it anymore.
Really?
Because of how dangerous it is.
Oh.
So you can't do that anymore.
Safety. Nah.
We got like the meme, we got the quote, so
yeah, that's all we needed.
We have everything we need.
We're gonna patent that.
Yeah, once like Charles overtook George, I was like, floor it. Foot to ground, floor this.
Do we?
Race it.
And then
I was
this
impressed with all the cars.
Lando being noted for all the pit exit.
Yeah, I literally have it written on here, possible 5-second penalty for Lando, something in the pit lane, and in parentheses I wrote, ask Kai. Because I know that you would know. So,
okay.
In my head, like, okay, we would
yes,
Kai,
I will pull
you're
up
the encyclopedia when it comes to F1. So what was the issue there?
Let me pull up the race director's notes really quick. I think it's gonna have a photo of it in there.
I think before the race, it was for the pit entry that they couldn't cross the white line under any circumstance. In other races, I think there's like a bit of, you can touch it and it's fine, but in this race, it was like, don't touch it or you will die, more or less. Right?
You value your life. Thank you.
And then the incident came up, but it was for the pit exit. So
yeah, that's what Liam got his. Wait.
Liam got a warning for it yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, that's not the right one. Sorry. When I when I open up the FIA documents page, it always opens up to 2024 for some reason. Time
traveling. Well, if I had to relive 2024 just in general again, I think I would actually like have to
no,
it down.
Car 7 was at the pit entry, not the pit exit. But I can pull up. Let's see, is this the race director's notes? And that is one of them, but not the right one. There's so many race director's notes happening.
Fairy lights have fallen.
Yeah, the ones Liam got were all for the pit entry, not pit exit. But I can pull up the pit exit ones. Let me find it.
It was also in the last 5 laps that this was noted for him. Or
it was it was after his pit stop.
I was having war flashbacks to Coda last year. I was like, no.
Yeah, Lando put it quite late.
Okay.
I think around lap 40 or something. So
yeah,
it was tight if you would get a penalty. Yeah. But I just saw that and I was like, okay, it would be 5 seconds. Kimi is 60 seconds behind. Nothing matters. And then you overtook George. I was like everything matters now.
So basically, do you see where it's this blue, the white with the blue here? Yes. That's the line they're talking about. So when Lando was coming out of the pit lane, you have to get past that line before you can cut back over into traffic. And there was a possibility one of his tires crossed that line.
He just hit it though.
It didn't really cross.
Okay.
I think he maybe touched it a little bit from the angle I had on TV, but
that's the entrance right there, right, to the pit lane?
This one is, yes.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, this one I believe is the pit exit. Yeah, this is the pit exit. So basically this, I can blow it up actually.
Zoom in.
Yeah. So basically, as Lando is coming out, even this might be the pit entrance actually, but anyway, if he's coming out here, he can't cross any part of this line until he gets to this solid white line.
Right. Okay. Okay.
It's to make sure that if there are any cars coming on the actual racetrack, yes. Okay. So if this white line is also where, if there is a car coming, car A is on the racetrack and car B is coming out of the pit lane, if car A is ahead at that white line, then they're allowed to cross in front of car B. But if car B is ahead, then they're supposed to be coming out before car A.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think because it was a pit exit, and the rule was just for the pit entry or something, so
that's why it was just noted and no further action.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also just could have been when they looked at it, it wasn't clear, or it wasn't really crossing the line. If anything, his tire maybe was on the line, but it wasn't actually over it. I think that was about it. That was the race. The back markers holding up cars sometimes.
I just had team orders at Kick, Aston, and Haas that they all had drivers position spots. I just found it funny that it was because they were literally everyone was behind each other in team.
In order.
Then they did all the little changes. Were what is the plan here? Are you trying to overtake?
I think it was because for Haas, Ali out-qualified Ocon, and so because of the pit stops and everything, they got their positions reversed, but at the end they're okay, let's just flip them back so it's not so even though it wasn't for points, it was more for because of strategy and everything with the pit stops, you guys ended up in front of each other and we'll just fix it really quick. And also there was no emotional blackmail for 10 laps to get that to happen. They just went, Ocon, switch. Okay, boop boop.
I have to say, It makes
I guess
me
that's probably
so
because it's for
happy
no points.
every time that I hear Esteban's race engineer, because it's a woman.
Laura.
I'm like,
Oh yeah.
period. What's her name? Laura?
Yeah, Laura.
Laura,
Mhm.
Laura.
my love. I love her. I like hear it and I'm like, hey.
Hey,
Mm.
girl.
But also, Palm, I don't know how to say her last name. When I saw her on the screen, though, that she was waving the checkered flag, the girl who plays Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy, I was like, oh, Pookie! I love her. I love her so much. It always, like, makes me so happy when, like, I see a celebrity on the grid that, like, I know, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is for me.
Mhm.
For me. No, Esteban's race engineers. So in German, because it's a German last name, it's Laura Müller, which is like Laura Müller. I don't know.
Mueller?
It's like the U with the dots on top. So
Gotcha.
I'm not sure. It's like Hülkenberg, but like.
Nico Hülkenberg.
But I'm not sure if she's German or not. But this is like the Germanest name you can get.
Word.
One of
Word.
them.
Bud, here.
Little snack.
You said his name's Loki?
Yes.
Oh my god. His
These
name
are
but he
garden
looks
salsa sun chips, by the way. He'll eat it too, but I'm just letting him lick this one. But then we had the glorious podium of Oscar, Max, and Charles.
Family.
I finally got. Hey, maybe I am a prophet, because yesterday I was like, after qualifying, I was like, we're so close to having the Verstappen podium plus a third wheel. And Oscar's that third wheel this time.
Again, you ate.
I ate I will say.
But that was like the adopted child of Charles, so it's like perfect.
It
Like
is.
his parents are protecting him on the first day.
Rest in peace, Checo, though. You were the ultimate third wheel.
Oh,
Giving us
Checo.
great.
I did not
like
really
uncle,
like Checo until I went to Austin and was just surrounded by Checo fans, and I'm like, this is great. Let's go Checo. Like, his fans are so dedicated, and I really respect it. I also after Oscar won, and they were talking about how since he's leading, it's the first time that an Australian is leading the championship in 15 years since Mark Webber. I literally just wrote my notes, Mac Webber.
Mac Webber.
Mac Webber. And I'm also pretty sure that people in, like, Bahrain could hear Zach yell when he hugged Oscar. That man is so loud.
Oscar's poor ribs. They've already broken once.
Like, do we know if not Zach was the cause of like breaking them in the first point?
Where's the investigation for that?
Yeah. Then after the race, we had the interviews, right? And let me just say, first and foremost, I did not come up with the max-splaining and the clarifying.
I've never.
But it is what I immediately said.
That's why I was like, "This is monumental."
No, the clarifying's been around for a while. It goes hand in hand with max-splaining. They'll together.
They be gossiping after these races.
They did. They immediately helmets off. Charles sitting on the little box, just yapping away with Max.
He's like, I can do one better. No, and I love that. We could hear him be like Charles to Max, be like, "And you got 5 seconds for that?" I was like, "Period." And then they cut the mics out.
Like, no.
Yeah. So apparently, and I think there is a photo of it, of MBS, the president of the FAA, talked to Max about something. We don't know for sure, but how Max was talking after that, I have a feeling we know what it was. Of basically, don't complain too much.
I am once again putting my faith in Susie Wolf as the next FIA president, because I cannot stand that man. Okay, MBS, you sent a tweet in the group me or what is it? Discord. Hello. That was so millennial.
I sent them all. I'm gonna pull them up.
But I saw that and I was like, who is MBS? Now I'm
Yes, that's the abbreviation for his
Leia,
name.
right? Is that how you say it?
Mohammed Ben Suleiman?
Suleiman? I thought it was Saleya.
Something like that. It's the abbreviation's MBS.
MBS.
Okay. So originally it was, he said something to Max, and then immediately you cut to the interviews where Max is quoted as saying, I think it's also better we don't talk about it because we're anyway not allowed to express our opinion on that.
When he said that, I was like, oh.
Then that was just in the, like, when he was talking to one of the
right?
media pen people. Then later on during the actual press conference, Max says, I know that I can't swear in here, but you also can't be critical or any kind of form that might harm or danger, or let me get the sheet out. It's a lot of lines, so that's why it's better to not talk about it.
But so I didn't see the interviews. Like after the podium, I went out and just came back when we started filming. But I didn't see anything. The last thing I heard was Oscar's message, and then I was off. But it's when was the little Max
yeah, I don't know
stuff happening. It's giving the same vibe.
Because Ben talked to him right after he got out of the car, because that was when Max went for the post-race interview on track still, being yeah, I'm just gonna keep it short, congrats to the team, we did great, and then walked off basically, which
in case everyone doesn't believe me on this,
we believe you.
Again.
Yeah, but I know if someone watches this, they're gonna go after it. There you go. Immediately after brief, there's another shot of it down here of them discussing something.
Yeah, it's the same. I think it was last race when he tried to hug Oscar when he was walking to his team on
and Oscar just
whatever, and he was
wait,
everyone
Lewis did the same thing.
He was standing behind Lando as well. No, everyone.
No one
is starting
that guy.
Yeah, no one.
He's just disrespectful, and he just only cares about himself and his own image and his power.
It's giving a little bit of a power trip.
Absolutely,
100%.
Maybe not even a little bit. Maybe a bit more.
Maybe 100%.
So, yeah. So that was happening. Max clearly not going. Max already doesn't say very much, but he was even getting snippy with the Dutch media too, being I'm not discussing this, we're not talking about it.
And Dutch people are really known for being direct, and I work with Dutch colleagues, and they always were oh yeah, we're so direct, don't be offended, and I'm no, please just tell it to my face. And Max is perfect example for that. He's just saying what he's thinking, and then still it's maybe sounds harsh, but it's true. And it's
one
what
of those
he's
things
thinking.
where,
So
if you can't take it, then don't raise a concern about it in the first place.
Yeah, then that's
someone to be on your side about everything. Talk to your mom.
Yeah,
your mom will be on your side. Max is gonna tell you to face how it is. Tell it to you straight.
So it was Max talking to Viaplay. So he normally is very open and honest and jokes with them.
Yeah,
he said, the interviewer said, "It's clear you don't agree with the penalty, so I want to talk about that moment." And Max just went, "No." But it was deciding, and Max said, "I don't care." Xiao, the interviewer's name, I don't want to talk about it. And then she goes, "But why not?" And Max says, "Because I don't want to."
That is, it's getting more more and more like kindergarten, trying to not saying. I can understand that in some situations maybe it's better that the drivers are not saying something, or just think about it. But then on the other hand, Max also said that in several interviews, you're getting out of the car, you're on an adrenaline high, even if you won, you're even more excited and everything. they're shoving a microphone in your face and like, oh yeah, what is happening here? What is happening there? Like, you have to like figure out your own stuff first, and then people answer emotionally or just like what you think in the first moment, and then afterwards we will be like, oh, maybe I should have phrased it differently, or maybe I shouldn't have said that at all because it's giving too much information about the car or whatever. So it's like, if they want to have like the clean version of the drivers, ask them tomorrow. Like, ask them 24 hours later or 12 hours later. Let them get a rest. Let them think about it. Let the PR team like get into that, write the mistake, and then
I don't even think this would warrant like waiting to talk about it though. Like incidents like this have happened multiple like all the time, and drivers are generally pretty respectful about discussing. Like Oscar was perfectly fine discussing it when he got his interview at the end. And Max, whenever he had stuff last year with Lando, would just be like, oh, we need to look at the video, we'll talk to the stewards about it, we'll discuss it with the team. Like, he doesn't go after a driver, and he never really even goes after the FIA. So, like, to have him just completely shut down and not answer a single question about it makes me think he was talked to about it. Like, someone was like, like, you can't, like, don't bring it up, don't mention anything.
Yeah, but I think because when he got the penalty, GP went on the radio and nicely informed Max about it, and Max was super happy about it with a simply F. Lovely.
Yeah. So he was just like, instead of simply, let me do a what's a thesaurus word I can look up? Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I think maybe because they told them already, like, you can't swear, blah blah blah. We already had this discussion before, and maybe that is because GP was already like, okay, Max, thank you, please, like, don't talk to me anymore, please don't say it. He was concerned. So I think maybe in the background there was immediately like a warning, like, if Max is going to say anything else.
Said that the swearing on the radio is not to be taken into account. Like, that's its own thing. They can, on the radio, it's one thing. They don't want them swearing during like interviews and press conference stuff.
Which makes sense. Yeah, like, they're also the ones like that air it. They're the ones that
and they bleep them out.
Yeah. So like when people are like, oh, you need to watch what you say, you have complete authority over what you show to the broadcast.
I think GP was trying to get Max to stop talking, not to stop swearing, but to stop, like, maybe saying something against the FAA or complaining about, like, the stewarding or something. Because Max has sworn in previous races and no one's cared. Like, on the radios, it's fine. But I feel Max was definitely about to go on some rant or something about, like, the stewarding or the decision-making of that.
Which, like, as he should, because you are, as the TikTok says, very much adequate. That is very much adequate.
No, but I think because it definitely was like aimed at the stewards or whatever, like not personally directly, but it was aimed at the group. So I think there was some talk already in the background during the race, like Max can do that, like that. And then I think maybe like his PR or whatever came immediately and said, like, we are already like in discussion with them. We have like an issue right now. Like, shut up.
Like, don't make it worse for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think if Max had said something other in the interviews, like not even swearing, but like something controversial in their eyes, then maybe they will just like, you know, if like a bucket with water is like dripping and dripping with water and it's overflowing, I think maybe this could be one of those situations. It's like, this is not worth penalty, but in like, I don't know, after the summer break, something will happening, and then I say like, oh yeah, look at this race, look at that, and then it will overflow. And
I think that's what Max was talking about when in the press conference where he said it's about like you can't harm, like do anything to harm the FIA.
Yeah.
Because that is the wording. It's very vague wording. And so I think that is why he brought that up, because it's not necessarily the swearing, because he hasn't sworn besides radio messages, which are fine.
Which are bleeped out.
It's they don't want anything that could possibly harm the image of the FIA.
Yeah, they're doing that themselves, though.
But my question is, when
they've done enough for themselves. Like,
when did MBS talk to Max at that podium? Because was it before or after the yapping with Charles? Because when he was talking to Charles, we could clearly hear that they were discussing the penalty, and Charles was like, "You gotta like." So I wonder if they heard that, then like F1 TV cut the mic, and then MBS went to talk to him about
I'm
it.
trying to think because as soon
It
as
would fit.
Oscar got out of the car, the first person he walked over to, because he was trying to make his way to Zach, the first person he like shook hands with was MBS.
Yeah. So I
He's
wonder.
very
Maybe
present
they
at the
just
moment.
walked
Like,
over immediately. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like immediately, or if it was like after they were like, "Oh, Max is going to discuss this. We need to put a lid on it."
yeah,
He was even
it's
quiet in the cool down room. I was like
yeah.
Charles is like trying to say something to him, and he's just like,
Like that's how
Like,
you
he's not
know
talking.
something's wrong. When he's not Max
when
explaining to
he's not
Charles,
Max
something's wrong.
Verstappen, something's wrong.
So we will just wait until like Ted's notebook is coming out, and maybe he's digging out some more information from the paddock. And latest on like next Thursday, something is going to blow up, and we will get
You
the
guys
information.
think
What
that
random
got
gossip is Ted
trouble?
Kravitz gonna overhear?
Oh my god. Do y'all think he got in trouble though for last weekend when he posted that on his Instagram story, the picture of the car
No.
and then hell underneath it? I was crying watching that story. I was like, there's no way this is real. That was so funny.
It's a fake account.
Oh yeah, he's like, oops, sorry, I meant to post it on my burner account. But no, I do think that they should give them, because of the adrenaline, more than just like one lap afterwards. Like, give them like a lap or two more just to like kind of cool down and like lock
Yeah.
in. I know probably like that would never happen, but I think it should if the FIA continues to behave in the way that they have and like make these decisions. A great way.
The drivers just don't get out of the cars.
Yeah, just like yeah. I mean, at this point, just like cool down for a minute. If that's the way that like you're trying to go with your image, if you don't want them to talk smack about you, let the adrenaline calm down for like a good like 5 minutes at least.
Yeah, but also like you could just do like the last lap, get them out of the car, because I think like the immediately interview for the podium after the race is nice, because there's only just a question like, oh, how did you do? Are you happy? Like, it's not like very deep.
Yeah.
But I think the issue is like they have, I don't know, like 50 minutes between the end of the race and the paddock pen, and
that's the issue.
The press pen. Yeah, and I think like let them get an hour, maybe do the debriefs with the team in between and do it afterwards. I can understand that you don't want to do it afterwards, like even because you had all your stuff done, but there's so often questions like, oh yeah, what is happening here? What is with the car? Blah, blah, blah. And it's always the team like, yeah, we have to rewatch it. Yeah, we have to debrief, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because you're not going to have that answer immediately.
Yeah, and they
when
will
you're in
not
the car,
say
they're not
after
talking
the
to you about
debrief.
that because they want you to focus on the race.
Yeah. No, but even if they did the debrief before and then going in the paddock press pen, then they're also not going to say like, oh yeah, this and this is the issue. But then you could, as like journalists, you could press a bit more. You can say like, oh yeah, but you debrief. So you have a bit more leverage on them. Not
I
to
remember
like, get in trouble, but
I remember in Bahrain last year, Charles had really bad brake imbalance, and we kind of knew that. Like, we knew something was wrong with the brakes immediately after the race, but it wasn't until a bit later when it was like, oh, this is what the issue was. That's something that if you wait for to do a media like pen thing, Charles and the team can be like, oh, this is where we struggled, this is why. That's like something you can tell fans, like,
yeah.
Because watching the race, I'm like, why wasn't he doing well? Why did he let George pass him? And then it took like 2 hours after the race for it to be like, oh, he had major brake imbalance issues.
Yeah.
How did he not finish? Like, how did he finish the race at that point? But like, yeah, pushing the media back. I like the immediately post interview, like just, oh, how was the race? Because that one's more. That one gives the drivers a bit of time to just be like, thank you to everyone here. The race was really fun, or like just like the little things that they say there, and then they go to the cool down room, which I love the cool down room, and I do like that we get to hear what's happening, because it's not like
mics in there.
because it's not
Mics.
it's not an interview, so they're not like being pressured to say anything. It's just them. It's just their like immediate commentary to like the clips being shown. And I think that's more fun and more like actually insightful. Cause yeah, when Oscar went around the outside of Lewis, I was like, that's an amazing like pass on the spot you normally don't. I wasn't even thinking of the marbles on the track, but then Charles pointed it out, being like, didn't you pick up a lot of marbles? And then I was like, oh yeah. Like that's something I wouldn't think about, but they're racing drivers, so they would know that.
Yeah.
And then like the steering wheel having
the Alonso Bortoleto incident too was just
yeah.
ooh, I'm like, give me more of that, please.
Gabby's not getting a flight home.
First of all, the fact that he calls him Gabby, I think that's so sweet. I love it.
So cute.
But they mentioned like stuff like what you guys are saying yesterday when Lando crashed in Q3 and they were like, imagine like the mental toll it's taking on these drivers, that happening and immediately throwing them to the media.
Yeah, because he didn't set off the medical thing, so we didn't have to go to the medical tent, so it was just immediately like, go talk to the media.
The pits of hell, basically. Mentally is what I would assume it feels like for them, being like, oh, hey Lando, 2 minutes ago you like were in the wall. How does that make you feel that you're starting at P10 when you could have been pole?
Yeah.
It's like, girls, give them a minute.
It's like maybe they shouldn't do like the interviews and just like drivers reacting, like having the podium in the like podium room in the cool down room, and then have like 5 drivers like watching the TV. Like I don't know which lap it was. I think it was also the Jeddah lap where they were in the paddock pen during qualifying, and Danny Rick and Alonso were like watching Max's lap, and they were trying to interview them.
Yeah.
And then Alonso and Danny was just like, oh yeah, it's good. Oh no, yeah.
Yes,
and
I remember.
Like,
I saw some. I think they might have posted like the F1 official account posted that like 2 days ago or something. Like I know.
Yeah.
It was like a very like resurfaced video.
We want more of that. Drivers reacting to like stuff happening, because they can also like tell, like I think they commented like, oh yeah, it's 2/10 or whatever in that qualifying lap, but you will get this as an honest reaction and not like, okay, I have the media people in front of me, I know what I have to answer, I am media trained, and this is because it's always like the same 5 to 10 questions and the same 5 to 10 answers, and if someone is saying something different, it's going viral, and either they're getting hate or they're being loved for it. Like there's no in between. It's like, oh, guys, come
I think
on.
this is a perfect segue into the Ferrari weekly discussion of
please, because I have so much that I need to like. Oh,
okay.
What is happening at Ferrari?
Kai,
nothing. Literally,
mic to you.
The mic is literally calm down, chill out. That's because everyone I follow on social, on like Twitter and everything, generally are pretty chill and pretty obviously like Forza Ferrari, it's going to be our year no matter what until it's mathematically impossible. Yeah. Except for this year for some reason. I think the DSQs like messed with them with some brains of like, oh, we're doomed now. I'm like, we're doomed. Have you seen Charles? Like, have you seen him drive? I don't think we're doomed. I think we're okay. And they are coming for Fred every single interview, no matter what he says. And I think there's times where Fred says things where I'm like, I don't know if that was the right thing to say. But a lot of it is just the interviews getting clipped, or they're not giving a full quote or something. And I'm like, you didn't put what the question was. The question was about Lewis, so he's going to answer about Lewis. There's a reason he didn't bring up Charles in this interview, because he wasn't asked about Charles's whatever. Yeah. And so today, Fred had some interviews, and everyone's like, he better say something good. He better. And then, like, about Charles and his magnificent drive, and there was one freaking post that went around so quickly. Where it's about Fred is saying something. I don't even remember.
Sorry,
let me see if I can
up like Ferrari. It's Fanatics Ferrari on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
But I think, just putting like my thoughts into that here, I think everyone thought, oh, we're getting a 7 times world champion, we're winning immediately, and it's not happening, because I will take the bridge to Carlos again. If you're changing teams, you have to get another team, and you adjust quicker or slower. And I think for Lewis it is a bit more difficult because he was 10 years, 12 years in Mercedes, which is a super long time.
And he's been with Bono as his race engineer for so long. He's still testing the waters out with this team.
Just harder. And then obviously, like, it is like that, to quote Charles here. Like, Charles is on his normal game, like maybe a bit better, a bit worse. It's the start of the season, we can't tell right now. But Lewis is not performing at the level they want him to, or not at the level of Charles at least. So it's a bit like he should be higher up. It's a bit like Checo on Max. Checo should be higher up, but he couldn't deliver, so they had to change it. And that is the issue at the moment, but we're still having 20 races left, so like, and Ferrari.
And he showed that he can. He set pole and won the sprint race, so it's not like we haven't seen anything from Lewis. He just needs to figure out the car, and Charles is still figuring out the car. One thing to mention with the new car this year is it's a completely new suspension system. They were using a pretty not okay, like, it wasn't working perfectly suspension system the past, since like the start of the new regs. They had their own working of suspension, and it just was leading to more issues than it was fixing. And so they switched to the suspension system that all of the other top teams are using, but it's their first year with this new suspension system. So there's going to be like hiccups. They have to find all of these little problems that every other team has had years to figure out. And that's one of the things. Now I found the quote from Fred that was from a Sky Sports interview that is only half a quote. And the question is, do you think Charles is saving the Ferrari dream? And Fred says, it's not about saving dream or anything like this. We must work to compensate our weak points. We need to do teamwork. It's not just a person that saves everyone, or vice versa. We're a team. And everyone lost their mind about this because he's not complimenting Charles. And I'm like, I think I've heard this exact quote from Charles Leclerc. He has said multiple times that he himself cannot save Ferrari. It's a team effort. They also did clip it incorrectly, where it says, just moments before, Vasseur said Charles managed the race pace really well and did a better pace than Piastri and Verstappen at the end.
Which I will.
That is an underquote. He was lapping faster, but that's because he was on newer tires. But that's a secondary quote underneath the original post. And so no one's seeing that, and they're only retweeting the original post. And I've had to go on multiple things being like, he is praising Charles. You are not actually listening to these interviews. And then I posted the full F1 TV interview with captions. I took my time to caption this, where he does say that Charles managed those tires very well. He was able to he was conservative on the first stint so that he could push longer on the second. And we as a team, need to work on our consistency in our qualifying pace. Which is literally all I'd want to hear.
With it makes me so upset. I'm like, if you're gonna come at someone sideways, at least do your research so that you can insult them properly. Because clearly you can't, because you don't know literally what you're talking about. Like, all you have to do is click the tweet and scroll down one, and you'll see the rest of it.
But even that, people are reading that quote and being like, what's he saying? Is he saying Charles isn't good enough? I'm like, no. He's saying this is a team sport, and you need your engineers to build you the car so the driver can drive the car. And they need together to fix something. I don't understand the head loss about this comment. And there have been plenty of things in the past Fred has said where I'm like, Fred, I don't know if this is the time to mention that. Or, hey, Fred, you could be praising your driver a bit more. Like when Charles got P4 and then got it bumped up to P3 in qualifying last week. I will admit, Fred didn't really mention that very much, but he also wasn't asked about it. He was asked about Lewis's performance almost that entire time because Lewis is farther away from Charles. And I just need people to think about why a team principal might be answering a question a certain way. And also think about what the drivers answered to these questions in the past.
Yeah.
Because it's the same. I promise
Yeah, but
you.
I think that's just like, I'm not sure like how old the people are that are posting this stuff or saying this stuff, but I think it's an issue with like the internet or like the web generation or whatever. I don't know which Z alpha Y millennium or whatever, but because we're like so used to like the short content stuff, like TikTok for example,
Yep.
you're just seeing a quote, you're taking it and you're putting it somewhere else because you're used to getting everything delivered to you. You don't have to search normally for stuff. Normally you get it on a silver plate. And if it's just a quote, you will say like, oh yeah, that's a quote. I will repost it. I will retweet it. I will just put my opinion to it instead of taking a step back. Like what we tell like the drivers in the media pen, like take a step back, think about
Take a
it.
breath, think
and
about
Right?
what you say.
Yeah, it's basically that. But I can understand if you're maybe already like in a kind of rage or you're just annoyed or like sad about the team performance and then you're thinking like, oh no, why he's not saying anything good about Charles, and you just see this tweet. Then at that point I can understand that some people are like, okay, retweet or whatever. But if I tweet this thing, I think it's different because I just think like, okay, maybe I want to share it to my followers or whatever. But if I'm giving my opinion to it, like adding information to it, then do your homework, read about it.
Yeah.
And if you don't read about it, then like do a disclaimer like, oh, I just saw that, I think blah blah blah. And then when I see it, I can say like, oh yeah, but did you see the full interview, whatever. I can have a discussion with the person. But if I'm just like shit on the internet, I'm like, okay, will just like not comment on that or do also like hate speech or whatever.
Yeah, like I mean, the same goes with like any of my. There's this one celebrity that I love her. I love her to death. She's the new Snow White, Rachel Zegler. People take all of the things that she says, they take them out of context all the time, and I'm like, hey, actually, here's the whole interview. Like people saying like, oh, she hates this character that she's now playing. I'm like, never said that actually. Here's the whole quote, and here's the source. Like it's funny where like you just have to, if you're presented with enough material, like source material, then you can speak about it. Like don't just take the BS and run with it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
so normally when I see stuff like that, I would just like consume it and take it as information for me. And because it like doesn't matter in my life in this case, I'm just saying like, okay, some people don't like it, whatever. I'm not having an advantage or disadvantage of it. And if I think like, oh no, I think this is wrong or whatever, then I will inform myself.
Yes.
Try to get all the information or like ask. Like it's not a weakness to ask. It's just like, hey, I don't know it. Can you please explain it to me? And then I can do whatever.
What I really
it's upsetting.
Hate is you ask for clarification and then someone like takes that for you trying to like be like rude to them, I guess, being like like, hey, can you explain this to me? What do you mean? You don't know what I'm talking about? Blah 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 blah. I'm like, I'm asking you to clarify what you're saying to me.
And it's particularly upsetting to me as a Charles like Ferrari fan because nothing against Carlos, but sometimes when he was at Ferrari, there was issues. There was definite issues between him, the team, and Charles. And things would get clipped and posted everywhere of stuff Carlos was saying about Charles or Charles was saying about Carlos. I'm like, didn't we learn anything from this? That we need to read full quotes? Because even F1 would be reporting like, oh, they fired the wrong driver after Carlos won in Australia. And I was like,
I saw that.
No,
I'm like, first of all, one race.
Like, that was happening so much last year, and I was like, no, they didn't. Also, he wasn't fired. And also, if you're taking Australia as the third race of the year, that Carlos won after Max's brakes died, so there was no overtaking for the lead of the race.
Yeah.
And the entire time, Charles was being told to stay behind and not fight his teammate. But no one, like, mentions any of that. They just saw Carlos beat Charles at a race. He should be he should have kept his seat. I'm like, And that's the same thing people are doing now to our own team. I'm like, guys, please
That's
look up
stupid.
context. Please
And also,
listen
like,
to a radio message.
how many races did Charles win last year? Like, how many races did
3,
Carlos win? Like, inter-team, like,
2.
they both did very well.
Yeah.
So, like...
And it started specifically got really bad after the whole DRS thing with George's car. And Fred, according to them, wasn't fighting hard enough for a penalty. I was like, you guys clearly didn't listen to a single team radio because Charles had a very similar issue. So why would Fred push for a penalty that could then incur on his own people?
Yeah.
I think like a lot of people like myself, they just watch it on TV and doesn't get all the onboard. So then I think like from my point of view, I would maybe also say like, oh, why he isn't pushing for it, because I didn't know Charles had this issue, and then you like last first episode, go watch it.
Shameless self promo.
There's definitely like a distinction of the fans who watch it and watch their driver and watch their race. But those are generally not the fans who are raging on Twitter, who are like defending their driver for all he's worth and can bring up like all of these stats for Charles's whole career. I'm like, cool. Did you click open radio message log? Ever? Yeah. Did you perhaps go to the FAA documents webpage? It's free. Anyone can look at them.
Yeah. You just need an internet connection.
You're clearly all tweeting in English, therefore I assume you can read English and read these documents. Because I understand if it's a language barrier and you can't read the documents, fair enough. Hopefully someone on Twitter or someone somewhere can translate them. But everyone I follow clearly speaks and tweets and writes in English. You can read a document, please.
Yeah, like even if you don't understand like the formal language in the documents, because this is sometimes an issue for me.
Oh yeah.
Because I can translate it, I can understand like the gist of it, but if it's like a very detailed thing, then sometimes I'm misunderstanding it, or I'm just interpreting it differently or whatever. But even then, like, just ask, because I don't know how often I did that. Like, okay, I understand it, but is it right how I understand it or not? And then because there's enough people that has the English as mother language, like just ask them. And if you have idiots that are coming at you like, how can you not know it, blah blah blah, honestly, like, block them and ask another person. Just do that.
Like, let me find another source, please, because you're not being helpful at all. In fact, you're an asshole. Like, why are you being
earlier in this episode, you didn't understand, like, Summer asked, hey, what was that pit exit penalty thing? I was like, oh, let me just pull up this document and show you a photo real quick and explain like this.
Hi.
But it's always like, okay, I can ask this to Kai and this and this.
Like in the general chat on Discord, hey, what happened here at Kai?
Do you have the times for me, at Kai?
Who screenshotted the endings for Q1? At Kai. She's always got everything.
Yeah, they're all in my spreadsheet now, so it's fine.
That's good. Someone is very organized.
God, one of us are. One of us is.
One sec. What do you need, Kat? What?
A Ferrari double win.
Yes, exactly. That's what he needs. Me too. I don't care that you're orange.
You had on the bingo card the P20 to win for someone.
I have P17.
Because someone said in the Discord...
I think Ellie, maybe?
Was it? Okay. She was like... Someone was like, what if Lando, ends up getting, P20, but then ends up winning? I would mark that off the bingo card. I
have winning from P17 or lower. So basically a max Brazil run again. Anything, that's mine.
Oh my god, Brazil, I every time that I talk to my friends that are getting into F1, I'm like, please watch this race. because there's so much. Like, I didn't know what a black flag was when Nico got disqualified. I didn't know what a black flag was until that. I was like, I didn't know that was a thing in Formula One. And watch this race, because there's a lot that happens that you wouldn't expect.
I did get a cross off my Verstappen podium for my bingo card.
Period. I don't have a bingo card this year. I didn't last year either.
So it was Tanya that has the P20 to P1, but Ellie said, like, in the beginning of the race, she would love like a P10 to P1 in the first lap for Lando.
Right.
Yeah, it's but it was, in general, it was a good race. There was a lot of overtaking, a bit of race action. The FIA didn't bottle it totally. I think the penalties were okay.
I like this street circuit. Out of the street circuits, it's fun. And because it's small, but there is enough space for overtaking. Like when you're going down like the DRS zones, and there's enough DRS zones where you can stay within that second and then slingshot around. And I think this is a good option to keep for street tracks. I'm not always a big lover of all of them. Like,
I think like Jeddah is a bit like a speedy, better Monaco.
Yeah.
You know, you have like the street circuit, it's quite small because Australia is also kind of a street circuit, but it's definitely wider. You can, but Jeddah is smaller. You have like more of the precision you need, but you can like use the car and the speed. And Monaco is more like a tourist drive with a bit of action in between.
Yeah.
If there's
Monaco, like my first time watching the Monaco race was last season, and in lap 1 there was that absolute chaos of like Checo and both Haas and then
poor heart.
Esteban like lifting Pierre off the ground. Like, what a great first Monaco Grand Prix. Genuinely, like, ugh, God.
But after
I
was
think
super
that
boring.
like solidified my love for street circuits. Actually, no, Cars, the movie. That solidified my love for street circuits. What is it, 2 or 3?
What, from Cars 2? Where they're in?
Yeah. The spy movie.
No, actually, it's Iron Man 2. Where the
That's not even Monaco.
It was the historic Grand Prix, actually.
Yeah. It was the historic Grand Prix, and they didn't even film it in Monaco.
That's just bad.
They're on a Marvel budget, and they didn't even film it in Monaco?
It's because Monaco wouldn't let them.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I'm pretty sure Monaco said no.
Because they would have had to shut down the city like they do for the Grand Prix weekends. Plus, they're like, you're not bringing anything that could actually damage our road here.
Yeah.
Like, no, not happening.
Valid, actually.
So, fun fact, if you go back and watch, it's like the aerial shot is of like part of the Monaco road, and then they CGI'd cars onto it. And it's really bad. You can like tell very clearly now that it's CGI.
I just rewatched it recently, but I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
And like just like keep an eye out for like the really
I feel this might also just be a me thing, and I know way too like memorized Monaco's what it looks like, to where I could watch that and be like, that's not that. Then you're supposed to go through the tunnel and come up to the chicane, and you didn't go through what's happening?
Something's not right here, and I don't think it's my fault. I think it's yours.
Yeah.
Oh.
Come here, buddy.
Okay. Should we do a prediction for...
Oh my god, he's so cute.
Cutie cute.
Oh, Loki!
Should we do a prediction for...
Shame.
The next one is Miami.
That's my home race. Do I live in
And I could have been there.
No.
I could have been there, and we're going to IndyCar. Okay, no, it's crazy that we're going to IndyCar.
I'm so excited for you guys. Y'all are gonna have so much fun.
I hope. I'm pretty sure we will. Yeah. Should we do the predictions?
You want to support a team?
Miami?
Okay.
Yeah.
It matches. He's orange. It matches.
He's basically McLaren.
How dare you call him anything like that?
Like, Pato, what are you doing here?
Sorry.
Race prediction for Miami.
Yes.
It's a sprint weekend again.
I just wanted to say we should do sprint and normal and race.
How many laps is Miami, like, the actual race?
Give me a second. I can pull it up for you. Maybe Kai is quicker, but I'm not sure. Wait, where's it?
57.
Yeah. I'm not fast enough.
I just Google it, so
that means
yeah, I have it like in my
How many is the sprint gonna be?
About the half.
About half, so like probably like what,
like 25
maybe?
Wait, I can also
I'm gonna say the
yeah, this doesn't tell me the sprint.
No, but I can give you the rules for this.
In no
it's just
order is gonna be Oscar. I think it's gonna be Oscar, Lando, and Max for sprint. Again, in no particular order.
Yeah.
For Miami actual race, just for me personally, I really want Lando to have a repeat of last year and come out P1.
Maybe he can do it this time without a safety car.
See yourself out. See yourself out. Open the door behind you. You can leave. I think Lando's gonna win. I think Ferrari is gonna be on the podium. I would love for it to be Lewis, because I just would love for it to be Lewis. Yeah. And George, I think George might also be on the podium, but I think Lando's gonna win.
I know Red Bull are bringing upgrades, possibly to Miami. Ferrari or not, they're bringing them to Imola.
Imola, yeah, I saw that on Twitter actually a second ago.
Because Miami's too close, basically, to bring upgrades.
So just a quick, the sprint should be 18 or 19 laps.
Yeah.
Because a sprint race is 100 kilometers and one lap in Miami is 5.412.
God.
And that's like 18 point whatever. So I think it's 19 laps.
I stand by what I said with my podium. Yeah, a double McLaren and a Verstappen somewhere in there.
Yeah, I'm not so sure because like George is also not that bad and Kimi is also. So I
would die for Kimi Antonelli. I love that man. He is so I love him.
In the spirit of the Miami Grand Prix from last year, like getting your first win, it would be so iconic if Kimi's getting his first win here.
I think Kimi's gonna have a win this season. I do. He's doing phenomenally. He's doing so well.
Yeah, so I think also like again McLaren will be on the podium both sprint and race.
Any McLaren will be on a podium at least once.
Yeah. If Red Bull has the car now under control, I think also Max will be up there again. And then I'm not sure. I think let's do Mercedes for the sprint and Ferrari for the race.
Yeah, I'm thinking Mercedes might be a bit easier during a sprint, not having to do a strategy, but Ferrari's been like pretty good with their strategies and being softer on their tires to go a longer distance. Yeah. If I'm picking a McLaren, I'm going with Oscar.
I knew it.
I will split them again.
Lando, don't look at her. Don't look at her.
Lando doesn't need to look at me. I don't need him. Thank you. You can take that. I think Oscar is going to do better than Lando, at least for the race. The sprint Lando might be better at, but it all depends on qualifying, and if Lando does not have a good sprint race, his qualifying probably will be affected. is what I'm thinking. So
Mhm.
it's who can do better that first qualifying.
You're like, it's
And the
nothing
fact that,
there until quali.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that they only have one practice.
That.
Oscar seemed more comfortable in the car than Lando has. And so if
Mm,
he's already like a base level more comfortable, only having one practice is easier.
mm.
Oh my-
I
And
think
then
Oscar
also,
might win
yeah,
championship this
but
year.
then also what you said, like in the beginning, Summer, like Lando's more in his head, and everyone will be like, "Oh, you won last
You
year. You
won
have
last
to win
year.
this year."
He
Like
might
I
waddle
think,
because of that.
yeah.
The
So I
pressure.
think, yeah, he will just feel the pressure again, and definitely like harder than everything else, and maybe he will put it on himself also more because it is your first win. You want to win it again, like just repeating
Mm-hmm.
it. So I think this can be a reason that he's not worse, but it's just like he's too much in his head, and that will
Mm-hmm.
limit it. And Oscar will not have that issue. Oscar will just say, "It's another race. I will do it, and either I win it or not." So
Yeah.
yeah, he's a bit more chill about it. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do think it's that comparison of it's your first race win track and you'd want to win it again. I don't think I've ever heard Charles ever mention really truly wanting to win Spa again. But Monza, Monaco, he wants
yeah,
to win Baku really badly. I'm like, I don't know. I
Very
think
true.
he's just more like, I want to live on the edge of dangerous tracks. I'm like, okay.
yeah. I think it's also more like the fans
Oh, the
also are
fans will
putting
put
the
it on that so badly.
Oh yeah.
That's,
like especially like Lando. I have like so much, especially on my TikTok page, because everything Lando does, no one likes it. And so like his fans will say, no, you have to win it again to like keep the legacy going on. Then other people will say, yeah, like if he's not win, yeah, he's a bad driver. If he wins, like, oh yeah, it's just because he
yeah.
won it last year. They will just like put it in their way.
Hmm.
So yeah,
And I think
I
of how Lando celebrated with the first win at Miami is going to be like, those are all going to come back up on everyone's
yeah,
pages now and remind everyone versus
yeah.
like when Max or Charles won, it wasn't, it was like, oh yeah, he won in Spa. Then he won Monza, and that's the one everyone truly remembers. Like, I remember Spa. I've watched the full race, but I go back to Monza every time.
It's just like I just know that Charles won Spa because of the quote, like he wins in Spa, he wins in Monza.
Yeah.
Like that's the only reason I know that he won Spa. And like Spa's my favorite track, not
Mhm.
because I'm this year, but also I think it's just like one of the exciting one. But like I can't remember any winner on them. Like just Charles because of the quote.
Mhm.
And I think every driver needs it just before they're winning, like just a narrative of what races they have won. And for Max, it's just like, okay, this is a track he didn't win on.
Yeah,
Like,
Singapore hasn't won it.
yeah, just change it up.
I think that's the only one. I think it's truly just Singapore Max hasn't won on the current calendar. Maybe no.
Germany, maybe one of the Germany ones.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking like the current calendar, like the ones we're going
Yeah.
for. So maybe China. I don't remember if he won in China. Did he
No,
win
I
last
would
year?
have to.
I think he won last year. Wait, let me consult my old journal here.
Let me consult the internet for a second.
Nope, Max won China last year.
Yeah, like he won everything
He's won.
basically. That should be a hint for us.
Yeah. Oh. It's nostalgic looking at my old one because I didn't take very detailed notes. So I'm like, huh?
What is that? Okay, but basically we have roughly the same
We all
teams
have
at least on
roughly the
the
same.
podium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the drivers are changing a bit here and there,
Mhm.
but it will be a good race. I will be watching from Alabama.
Word.
I hope I will be watching from Alabama.
Mhm.
Go
We'll
to
end
your
here
dinner.
then.
Have
We'll
fun.
end here.
Okay. Bye, guys. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
See you